What if 2026 is already yours, but you're too distracted to claim it? What if the only thing standing between you and greatness is your need for approval? Stop looking sideways. Stop checking who's ahead. Stop explaining your dreams to people who can't see your vision. Lock in, because when you focus on yourself long enough, the world has no choice but to notice. There is a dangerous habit that silently destroys potential, the habit of needing approval. The moment you start living for applause, you stop living for purpose. Too many people measure their progress by how many people clap, like, comment, or approve. But validation is a moving target. Today they cheer, tomorrow they criticize. If your confidence is built on other people's reactions, then your foundation is weak. Real power begins when you no longer need anyone to agree with your dream before you pursue it. When you decide that your vision is enough, even if no one else understands it, that's when growth truly begins. Seeking validation is often disguised as wanting support. But support and approval are not the same thing. Support empowers you, approval controls you. When you need approval, you hesitate. You second guess your decisions. You shrink your ambition to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. You delay action because you're waiting for reassurance. And while you're waiting, life keeps moving. Opportunities don't pause so you can gather applause. The world rewards movement, not consensus. If you have to explain your vision to everyone before you act on it, you will never move fast enough to win. Understand this: people can only validate what they understand, and most people won't understand your hunger, your discipline, or your long-term vision, especially if they don't share it. When you decide to focus intensely on yourself, you might look selfish to others. When you say no to distractions, you might look distant. When you prioritize growth over gatherings, you might look different. But different is not wrong. Different is often the price of excellence. The strongest individuals in any field were misunderstood long before they were admired. If you quit every time someone doubts you, you're letting small minds dictate a big future. There is also a psychological trap in constant validation seeking. It trains your brain to perform instead of improve. You start doing things that look impressive instead of things that build strength. You post the progress instead of making it. You talk about the goals instead of grinding toward them. The need to be seen can become stronger than the need to grow. And when visibility becomes the priority, discipline suffers. Growth happens in private. Skill is built in repetition. Confidence is forged in solitude. The work that changes your life rarely looks glamorous, and it doesn't come with instant applause. When you stop seeking validation, something powerful happens. You become dangerous in the best way. You move with clarity. You make decisions faster. You take risks without pulling the crowd. You invest in yourself without announcing it. Your energy shifts from "do they approve" to "am I improving?" That shift alone can change the trajectory of your entire year, because now your motivation comes from internal standards, not external reactions. You wake up focused, not fragile. Criticism doesn't break you, and praise doesn't distract you. You are anchored in your own commitment. Focusing on yourself means being willing to walk alone for a season. It means accepting that not everyone will clap for you while you're building. It means understanding that silence from others is not a sign to stop. It's often a test to see how serious you are. Growth requires isolation. Mastery requires repetition. Success requires a level of self-belief that does not depend on outside noise. When you remove the addiction to validation, you free up emotional energy. And that energy can now be redirected into skill development, mental strength, and strategic execution. You must learn to validate yourself. Celebrate your small wins quietly. Acknowledge your improvement privately. Hold yourself accountable without broadcasting it. Self-validation is not arrogance, it's ownership. It is looking in the mirror and saying, I see the effort. I see the discipline. I see the progress. When your confidence comes from within, you cannot be manipulated by praise or paralyzed by criticism. You become steady, focused, relentless. The truth is, most people who seek validation are afraid of being wrong. But growth requires being wrong sometimes. It requires trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again without needing everyone to approve each step. If you're constantly looking for reassurance, you'll avoid bold moves. And bold moves are often the ones that change everything. You cannot build a powerful future while asking timid questions. You cannot lead your life while waiting for permission. When you stop seeking validation, you reclaim control of your time and direction. You no longer waste hours explaining your goals to people who are not committed to them. You no longer adjust your pace to make others comfortable. You no longer shrink your ambition so you won't intimidate anyone. You expand. You stretch. You grow without apology. And that is the beginning of real focus. Focus on yourself until you win means trusting your process before others trust it. It means believing in your path before it makes sense to the crowd. It means working so hard in private that public recognition becomes a byproduct, not a goal. The less you need validation, the more unstoppable you become. There are mornings when you will not feel inspired. There will be days when your energy is low, your confidence is shaky, and your progress feels invisible. If you rely on motivation to carry you through those moments, you will stop. Because motivation is emotional. It rises when things are exciting and disappears when things get uncomfortable. But discipline is not emotional. Discipline is a decision. It shows up whether you feel like it or not. And the people who win in 2026 will not be the most motivated. They will be the most disciplined. Motivation makes you start. Discipline makes you continue. Anyone can start a new routine on a Monday. Anyone can feel powerful after watching a video, reading a quote, or hearing an inspiring speech. But what happens on Thursday when you're tired? What happens in month 3 when results are slow? What happens when nobody notices your effort? That's where discipline separates the committed from the casual. Discipline says, do it anyway. It does not negotiate with comfort. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It acts because the goal matters more than the mood. The problem with chasing motivation is that it trains you to move only when you feel good, and life will not always feel good. Growth is uncomfortable. Mastery is repetitive. Success requires doing the same small actions consistently, even when they feel boring. Discipline is built in repetition. Waking up early when you don't want to. Practicing when you're tired, when others are relaxing. Studying when you want to spend. Staying focused when distractions are everywhere. These small acts, repeated daily, create unstoppable momentum. When you choose discipline, you take control of your future. You no longer allow emotions to dictate your performance. You set standards and live by them. You decide that your goals are not optional. They are commitments. And commitments do not change based on feelings. If you say you're going to train, you train. If you say you're going to study, you study. If you say you're going to build, you build. Not because you feel inspired, but because you said you would. Integrity with yourself builds unshakable confidence. Discipline also builds mental toughness. Every time you follow through when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your mind. You prove to yourself that you are in control. That proof compounds. It builds identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who executes. That shift in identity changes everything. Because once you identify as disciplined, Your behavior aligns with it automatically. You don't debate whether to act. You act because that's who you are. There will always be distractions, social media, comfort, excuses, other people's opinions. Motivation gets distracted easily. Discipline does not. Discipline protects your time. It protects your energy. It protects your focus. When you commit to focusing on yourself until you win, discipline becomes your shield. It keeps you locked in while others drift. It keeps you consistent while others fluctuate. And consistency is what produces visible results. Discipline also removes the pressure of constant excitement. You don't need to feel pumped every day. You don't need dramatic bursts of energy. You just need steady action. Small improvements repeated daily for months create massive transformation. What seems insignificant today becomes undeniable in a year. That's how 2026 becomes your breakthrough year, not through emotional highs, but through disciplined habits. Understand this clearly: discipline is freedom. It may feel restrictive at first, waking up early, saying no to distractions, following a strict routine, but that structure creates progress, and progress creates options. The more disciplined you are now, the more freedom you will have later. Financial freedom, mental freedom. Discipline is not punishment. It is preparation. Most people quit not because they lack talent, but because they lack consistency. They wait for motivation to return instead of building systems that carry them forward. Winners build systems. They create routines that remove decision fatigue. They plan their days. They track their progress. They hold themselves accountable. They understand that success is not built on dramatic moments. It is built on daily standards. When you choose discipline over motivation, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop chasing feelings and start building results. You accept that some days will be hard. Some days will be slow. Some days will test your commitment, but you show up anyway. And every time you show up, you stack another brick on the foundation of your future. Focus on yourself until you win means mastering the boring days. It means respecting the process even when the outcome is invisible. It means trusting that your consistent effort is shaping a version of you that is stronger, sharper, and more prepared. Motivation may light the fire, but discipline keeps it burning. Distractions are silent dream killers. They don't announce themselves as threats. They come disguised as harmless habits, quick breaks, small indulgences, or just 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes turn into hours. Those hours turn into days. And those days turn into lost momentum. If you truly want to focus on yourself until you win in 2026, you must understand one thing clearly: every distraction costs you something. It costs time. It costs energy. It costs clarity. And most dangerously, it costs consistency. We live in a world engineered to steal attention. Notifications buzz. Messages pop up. Trends change daily. Opinions are constant. Comparison is instant. You can wake up focused and lose your entire morning to scrolling. And the worst part, it feels productive. You feel connected, informed, entertained. But when the day ends, nothing moved forward. Distraction gives the illusion of activity without the reward of achievement. And if you're not careful, you can be busy all year and still make no progress. Focus is rare, and what is rare is valuable. When you eliminate distractions, you protect your most powerful asset, your attention. Attention determines direction. Whatever you consistently give your attention to will grow. If you give it to gossip, comparison, and drama, that's what expands in your life. But if you give it to skill building, planning, learning, and execution, your results will expand. Your future depends on what you repeatedly focus on. And you cannot build a powerful life while constantly dividing your attention. Distractions are not always external. Sometimes they are internal: overthinking, Self-doubt, fear of failure, replaying old mistakes, imagining worst-case scenarios. These mental distractions drain as much energy as social media or noise. They paralyze action. They keep you stuck in preparation mode instead of execution mode. To eliminate distractions, you must master your mind. Notice when your thoughts are pulling you away from progress. Interrupt them. Redirect them. Replace them with action. Eliminating distractions requires boundaries, and boundaries require courage. You may need to say no more often. No to late nights that ruin your morning productivity. No to conversations that drain your energy. No to environments that encourage laziness. No to people who pull you away from your goals. Not everyone will understand your new level of focus. Some may even feel uncomfortable with it. But your responsibility is not to make others comfortable. It is to build your future. Structure helps eliminate distractions. When your day has no plan, distractions fill the space. But when you design your schedule intentionally, there is less room for randomness. Set clear work blocks. Schedule breaks intentionally. Keep your phone away when you're deep in work. Decide in advance what deserves your time. Decision-making ahead of time reduces temptation in the moment. Discipline and structure work together to protect your focus. Another powerful way to eliminate distractions is clarity of purpose. When your why is weak, distractions feel stronger. But when your goals are clear and meaningful, distractions lose their appeal. If you truly see 2026 as your breakthrough year, then every distraction becomes a threat to that vision. And when the vision is strong enough, saying no becomes easier. You don't need to rely on willpower alone. You rely on commitment. Energy management is just as important as time management. Sometimes distractions creep in because you're mentally exhausted. When your brain is tired, it seeks comfort and easy stimulation. That's why proper rest, exercise, and mental breaks matter. Eliminating distractions doesn't mean burning out. It means being intentional about where your energy goes. Protect your peak hours for important work. Use low-energy moments for lighter tasks. Align your schedule with your natural rhythm. You must also understand that not every opportunity is meant for you. Sometimes distraction comes in the form of new ideas, side projects, or quick money opportunities. They seem exciting. They feel urgent. But not all opportunities align with your main goal. Focus requires sacrifice. It requires choosing one path and committing to it long enough to see results. Jumping from idea to idea may feel productive, but it scatters your energy. And scattered energy rarely produces excellence. Eliminating distractions is not about isolation from the world forever. It's about seasons of intense focus. It's about recognizing that this period of your life requires discipline and clarity. It's about understanding that short-term sacrifice creates long-term freedom. You are not missing out. You are building up. When you remove distractions, you create space. Space to think clearly. Space to plan strategically. Space to execute consistently. And in that space, growth accelerates. Your skills sharpen. Your confidence strengthens. Your progress becomes visible. What once took months now takes weeks because your energy is concentrated. Focus on yourself until you win means guarding your attention like it's your future. Because it is. It means recognizing that every time you choose discipline over distraction, you move one step closer to the version of yourself you're becoming. And when you stack those focused days together, momentum builds. The world will always compete for your attention, but only you can decide what deserves it. The most powerful competition you will ever face is not with another person. It is with the version of you from yesterday. When you spend your energy measuring yourself against others, you lose sight of your own path. Everyone moves at a different pace. Everyone starts from a different place. Everyone carries different strengths, struggles, and opportunities. Comparison blinds your personal growth. But when you compete with yourself, you gain clarity. You see progress where others only see position. Competing with others creates pressure. Competing with yourself creates progress. When you constantly compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel, you distort reality. You see their wins, but not their sacrifices. You see their results, but not their routine. You see their success, but not their struggle. And that comparison can either inflate your ego or crush your confidence, neither of which helps you grow. Growth is personal. It is measured in private victories. It is tracked in small improvements. The only meaningful standard is who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. Self-competition builds accountability. You cannot blame anyone else when the only opponent is you. If you skip the workout, you know it. If you procrastinate, you know it. If you give half effort, you feel it. There is no one to outshine, no one to outperform, only a standard to uphold. That standard is your own potential. And potential is a responsibility. When you know you are capable of more, average effort becomes unacceptable. Every day presents an opportunity to improve something. Your mindset, your discipline, your skill, your focus. You don't need dramatic leaps. You need steady upgrades. 1% better each day compounds over time. A small increase in consistency. A slight improvement in efficiency. A stronger response to stress. A calmer reaction to criticism. These minor adjustments, repeated daily, create massive transformation. When you compete with yourself, progress becomes measurable and motivating. Competition also eliminates jealousy. When your only goal is to outperform your previous self, someone else's success does not threaten you. It inspires you or simply exists without emotional impact. You understand that their journey has nothing to do with yours. Your race is internal. Your timeline is personal. And that mindset creates peace. You no longer feel rushed because someone else is ahead. You no longer feel superior because someone else is behind. You are simply focused. This focus sharpens your standards. Yesterday you worked for 1 hour. Today you work for 1 hour with deeper concentration. Yesterday you studied 10 pages. Today you studied 12. Yesterday you reacted emotionally. Today you respond strategically. These improvements may seem small, but they redefine your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who evolves, someone who learns, someone who adjusts. That identity fuels confidence, not fragile confidence based on comparison, but steady confidence based on proof. Competing with yourself also forces reflection. You must regularly ask, am I growing? Am I improving? Am I executing at my highest level? Reflection keeps you honest. It prevents stagnation. It helps you identify weaknesses without shame. Weakness is not failure, ignoring weakness is. When you treat each flaw as an opportunity to sharpen yourself, you turn setbacks into stepping stones. There will be days when you fall short, days when your effort doesn't match your ambition. But self-competition does not mean self-destruction. It means self-correction. You assess, you adjust, you move forward. No drama, no excuses, just improvement. The goal is not perfection, it is progression. And progression requires patience with yourself while still demanding excellence from yourself. When you focus on outperforming your previous limits, you unlock a different level of intensity. You stop asking, am I better than them? And start asking, am I better than I was? That question keeps you grounded and hungry at the same time. It keeps you humble because you know there's always room to grow. And it keeps you driven because you see how far you've already come. 2026 will not reward you for being better than someone else. It will reward you for maximizing your own capacity. The marketplace, the industry, the world, They respond to value, and value increases when you sharpen your skills daily. Your growth must become your obsession, not in an unhealthy way, but in a disciplined, intentional way. You wake up seeking improvement. You end the day evaluating progress. When your only competition is the person in the mirror, distractions lose power, jealousy fades, ego shrinks, focus intensifies. You build quietly. You measure privately. You execute consistently. And over time, the gap between who you were and who you are becomes undeniable. Focus on yourself until you win means understanding that the greatest victory is internal. It is conquering your excuses. It is stretching your limits. It is proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you once believed. There is a certain power in silence that most people underestimate. In a world where everyone feels the need to announce their goals, broadcast their plans, and document every step, silence has become rare. But rare is powerful. When you move in silence, you protect your vision. You protect your energy. You protect your focus. Not everything needs to be shared. Not every idea needs an audience. Some goals grow stronger when they are nurtured privately. When you talk too much about your plans, you release the emotional reward before you've done the work. The brain enjoys recognition, even if it's premature. When people praise your intention, it can trick you into feeling accomplished without actually achieving anything. That satisfaction reduces urgency. It lowers intensity, and slowly the fire cools. Silence prevents that. Silence keeps the hunger alive. When no one knows what you're building, you stay driven because the proof hasn't been shown yet. Moving in silence also shields you from unnecessary opinions. The moment you share a big vision, everyone has something to say. Some will doubt you. Some will question your strategy. Some will project their fears onto your ambition. Even well-meaning advice can create confusion. When too many voices enter your process, clarity disappears. Silence filters the noise. It allows you to think deeply, plan strategically, and execute confidently without constant interference. There is strength in letting your results speak. Results are undeniable. Plans invite debate. Results demand respect. When you focus on yourself until you win, you don't feel pressured to prove anything prematurely. You let your work mature. You refine your skills quietly. You improve your discipline behind the scenes. And then one day, the transformation becomes visible. Not because you talked about it, but because you built it. Silence also builds resilience. When you move quietly, you learn to rely on yourself. You don't depend on constant encouragement. You don't need external hype to keep going. You develop internal drive. That internal drive is sustainable. It doesn't fade when applause fades. It doesn't weaken when support is limited. It grows stronger because it's rooted in personal commitment, not public validation. Another reason to move in silence is strategic advantage. When fewer people know your next move, fewer people can interfere. Not everyone who smiles supports you. Not everyone who listens believes in you. Sometimes sharing too much exposes your plans to doubt, competition, or negativity. Silence keeps your strategy protected. It allows you to execute without distraction or sabotage, intentional or unintentional. Moving in silence doesn't mean isolation forever. It means understanding timing. There is a season for building and a season for revealing. During the building season, you focus, you sacrifice, you discipline yourself. You accept that recognition may not come immediately. You stay committed even when no one is watching. That is where character is built. That is where true growth happens, away from the spotlight. Silence also strengthens your patience. When you're not constantly announcing progress, you're less pressured to rush results. You allow mastery to develop properly. You understand that real success takes time. Instead of chasing quick attention, you invest in long-term excellence, and long-term excellence always outperforms short-term noise. There is something powerful about surprising people with growth they never saw coming. When you quietly elevate your mindset, upgrade your habits, sharpen your skills, and strengthen your discipline, the transformation becomes undeniable. The same people who overlooked you begin to notice. The same voices that doubted you become silent. And you didn't need to argue, defend, or convince anyone. Your results handled it. Silence trains emotional control. You learn not to react to every comment, not to respond to every criticism, not to explain every decision. Emotional restraint is a sign of maturity. It keeps you focused on what matters. It prevents energy leaks, because every argument you avoid is energy saved for improvement. Every unnecessary explanation you skip is time invested back into growth. When you move in silence, your confidence becomes steady. It's not loud. It's not boastful. It's calm and unshakable. You know what you're building. You know how hard you're working. You know where you're headed. That inner certainty doesn't require announcement. It doesn't require approval. It simply requires execution. Focus on yourself until you win means letting your grind be private and your success be public. It means resisting the urge to broadcast the journey before it's complete. It means understanding that true elevation doesn't need constant exposure. Build quietly, improve privately. Let the outcome make the noise. A breakthrough year does not happen by accident. It is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is not something you stumble into because the timing feels right. A breakthrough year is declared first and then built daily. If 2026 is going to be different, you must decide that it will be different, not hope, not wish. Decide. Decision creates direction, and direction creates momentum. Most people treat a new year like a fresh notebook with empty pages, but no clear plan. They say they want change, but they don't change their standards. They say they want growth, but they don't adjust their habits. A breakthrough year demands a breakthrough mindset. It requires you to raise your expectations for yourself, to demand more discipline, more focus, more consistency. You cannot enter 2026 with the same habits that limited you before and expect extraordinary results. Commitment means eliminating the option of quitting. It means burning the mental escape routes. When things get hard, and they will, you don't retreat, you adapt, you adjust, but you do not abandon the mission. A breakthrough year will test your patience. It will test your resilience. It will test how serious you really are. The question is not whether challenges will appear. The question is whether your commitment is stronger than those challenges. To make 2026 your breakthrough year, you must get clear about what breakthrough actually means for you. Is it financial growth, physical transformation, career advancement, skill mastery, mental strength? Clarity creates power. Vague goals create vague effort. When your target is specific, your actions become intentional. You stop drifting and start directing. You stop reacting and start designing. A breakthrough year is built on systems, not bursts of effort. Intensity is powerful, but consistency is unstoppable. One strong week will not change your life. 12 disciplined months will. This means creating routines that align with your vision. Morning structure, daily priorities, weekly reviews, monthly evaluations. Treat your life like a serious project. Track progress, identify weaknesses, strengthen execution. Breakthrough is the result of strategic repetition. You must also elevate your environment. Environment influences behavior more than willpower does. If your surroundings encourage distraction, your focus weakens. If your circle normalizes mediocrity, your standards slowly drop. A breakthrough year may require distance from certain influences. It may require new conversations, new spaces, new expectations. Growth often demands uncomfortable shifts, but comfort rarely produces transformation. Another essential element of commitment is self-honesty. You must confront your habits without excuses. Where are you wasting time? Where are you underperforming? Where are you hiding behind comfort? A breakthrough year starts with accountability, not blame, not shame, accountability. When you own your patterns, you gain the power to change them. Ownership is empowering. It reminds you that your future is not random. It is responsive to your actions. Sacrifice will be necessary. Breakthrough requires trade-offs. You may sacrifice temporary comfort for long-term gain. You may sacrifice entertainment for education. You may sacrifice ease for excellence. The difference between average and exceptional is often found in what each is willing to give up. If you want extraordinary results in 2026, your daily choices must reflect that desire. Every decision either supports the breakthrough or delays it. There will be moments when progress feels slow, when effort seems invisible, when doubt whispers that nothing is changing. This is where commitment proves itself. You continue anyway. You refine your strategy. You strengthen your discipline. You remember that transformation is often silent before it becomes visible. Seeds grow underground before they break the surface. Your effort is building roots before it shows results. A breakthrough year also requires belief, not blind optimism, but earned confidence. Confidence built from preparation, from repetition, from discipline. When you consistently show up for yourself, belief strengthens naturally. You don't need to hype yourself up. You have proof. Proof of effort, proof of growth, proof of resilience. That proof fuels persistence. When you commit fully, something shifts internally. Your standards rise. Your tolerance for excuses drops. Your focus sharpens. You stop asking whether it's possible and start asking what it requires. You begin to see obstacles as problems to solve rather than reasons to stop. That shift in perspective alone can change everything. Focus on yourself until you win means treating 2026 not as another chapter, but as a defining one. It means understanding that this year can alter your trajectory if you approach it with intention. It means refusing to let distraction, inconsistency, or fear steal another 12 months. A breakthrough year is not found, it is built. And it begins with commitment. So when the year gets heavy, when the days feel long, when nobody claps and nobody notices, remember why you started. You didn't choose this path for attention. You chose it for elevation. Every early morning, every disciplined decision, every silent sacrifice, every moment you refuse to quit, it's shaping you. 2026 is not waiting to test you. It's waiting to reveal you. But it only reveals the person you've been becoming in private. So stay locked in, stay disciplined, stay focused. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them sleep. You build. And when the moment comes, when preparation meets opportunity, you won't need to announce your arrival. Your results will introduce you. Now go earn it.